I've never had a particular interest in being a so-called influencer. The very idea of it, constant and careful social media usage, giving a shit about TikTok, using the influencer Atlantic accent, what up YouTube, sounds incredibly annoying. I'm terrible at using social media. Stan culture aggravates me beyond belief, and I can't stand when people talk like that. I do like film, acting, directing, and writing, all things that go into being a successful influencer, yet still. I originally used YouTube to post short films I shot solo during the coronavirus pandemic. The first one, semi-inspired by the film I'm thinking of, Ending Things, followed a young man who found himself trapped in a time loop, looping through his memories of an apocalypse that occurred the night he was raped. It was a way of dealing with the assaults I experienced during the first half of 2020. The second one followed a man who heard whispers from the mirror. When he touched the mirror, he was transported to a cluttered art room where he discovered he had a twin brother with whom he shared a body, continuously swapping who resided in Roram, the mirror space. This was intended to express frustration at looking back on past artworks and feeling as though they were created by a different me, one with more talent, one I cannot access again, I can't live up to. My plan at the time was to continue shooting and uploading films to YouTube. I've got two feature-length scripts that technically require only one person to create. I've got at least one more short script, but I stopped filming. Perhaps my insecurity in my appearance contributed to this. I should return to this more fulfilling form of film. Back then, it was also where I placed my self-tapes for auditions that weren't through Actors Access. It housed my acting reel. I uploaded screen recordings of the scores for my various musicals, and then lyric videos of the rough composer demos I made for those songs. These uploads were not to gather popularity, they served a practical purpose. When you're submitting musicals to theaters and contests, they tend to require demos varying in levels of requested professional polish. Having these recordings available as MP3 and WAV files as well as YouTube links made my life easier. My social media habits changed during the pandemic. I know I'm very special. In my frustration at the height of lockdown, I turned my mind to Abigail Thorne of the YouTube channel PhilosophyTube. Thorne would occasionally say she started her channel in order to give away her philosophy degree. A whisper started in my brain as the 2020-2021 school year got underway that perhaps I could do the same with my theater degree. After all, for the first time in human history, the vast majority of learning was occurring online. More and more people both hungered for and required educational content, to use a word I hate. For a bit, I resisted that urge. The immediate barrier that stopped me in my tracks was the entire idea of being a YouTuber, an influencer. It sounded rather embarrassing. Especially as a person pursuing a life in the arts, I did not want to be known for posting lessons or essays online. I did not want to tell potential dates that that was part of my career. More than anything, I did not want to prove my college professors right. See, my senior year, I was told over and over by the professors in my department that one day I would join them. There was no doubt in their minds that I would be incapable of resisting the siren song of academia. After a few years, I'd wind up in a graduate program somewhere and then I'd be teaching at a college somewhere. This was obvious to them, and they spoke about it as if it were a certainty. They were oracles, and I was the reluctant hero called to action. It wasn't that I didn't believe them. It's that, as tends to happen in narratives, I was refusing the call to adventure. If I were to post actual lessons to YouTube, it would be a way of surrendering to the prophecy. You see, I have always been an annoying combination of two diametrically opposed traits: a strict desire to be a good boy and a complete detestation for authority. I am a rule follower who does not particularly enjoy those who enforce or encode rules. I enjoy a romantic partner who gives me orders, and yet I cannot stand pushiness. The call toward academia continued to haunt me as the years passed. Rather than a desire to teach, however, like my professors seemed to predict, I had an itch to write. See, writing has been my longest love. In second grade, my sister and I wrote a haunted house story. I would go on to spend my entire middle school career typing away at an amusingly bad series of sci-fi stories following a Naruto-inspired sarcastic piece of shit named Bobby. Maybe I'll share them one day. Then in high school, I wrote about vampires and harsh justice. College brought forth poetry and playwriting. I did not want to teach. I wanted to write essays. When you're going through the American school system, there isn't much fun about the essay. You're given a formula you're supposed to follow, the 5.8 paragraph essay. I found that stifling. I despised the style it suggested, and it strangled the very idea of essay writing. In reading the works of my peers and later in my capacity as a TA in college, it looked to me as though this formula was a breeding ground for poor writing. For instance, the over-reliance on transitional phrases, such as, for instance, ironically enough, caused a robotic, uncanny valley quality to overtake the collected works. Every paragraph almost started with some form of first, second, last. It pumped bile into my metatarsals to have to write that shit. It depressed me to read it. Thinking back, I can't help but think we have done our students a great disservice by restricting them so. In college, I had the honor of reading far less rigid, more magical essays, the works of Montaigne and things like The Selfishness of Others by Kristen Dombeck. Toward the end of my undergraduate career, I discovered Jenny Nicholson. Nicholson's YouTube videos led me to other video essayists. To me, it seemed as though the modern reflective essay found its home on the YouTube algorithm. If I wanted to put my thoughts out into the world without having to deal with academic journals and the restrictions of a professional voice, then I'd have to put them to film. The urge became overwhelming, so I grabbed my DSLR and a microphone and recorded my first video, an interrogation of the homophobic exports of a Catholic center on my college campus. At the time, I wanted a slight amount of theatricality, so I made sure to change my outfits, angles, and backdrops between sections. I had my script open on my laptop. I would read each sentence, look up at the camera, deliver it, forget the next sentence, return, repeat. On it went. At the time, unaware of DaVinci Resolve, my current editing software, I uploaded all the clips into the basic video editor that came for free on my laptop, Microsoft Clips or something like that. It frustrated me to no end. The sounds I heard in my headphones never matched the final product. People complained the music was too loud, whereas it was incredibly soft as I edited. Technology has never really been my best friend. To this day, I am unsure what happened with that program. I uploaded this video in February 2023. Last I checked, it has 21 views. I would go on to upload 5 more essays that year with the idea that I would upload about once a month. In 2024, I posted around 33 essays, slowly working toward a goal of 1 essay a week. You tell yourself, when you first start and at various times afterwards, that you're not chasing any sort of virality. You want to put your thoughts out there, that's all. If anyone sees the videos and remotely enjoys them, that's all that matters. Alas, that's not the black heart at the center of publishing your art or behaving on social media. It was enough at first to get a couple hundred views. I felt a rush anytime someone commented at all. Each new subscriber blew my mind. Every now and then someone would comment with expressed shock at how small my channel was. Pride surged. That very pride eventually lessened. I've always been quite the sensitive boy. I would cry and rage easily as a child, and I didn't understand the relative lack of emotions others seemed to have. When one of the family cats died, I bawled. My sister, dealing with the news in her own way, laughed, and I yelled at her. When you're a child, you don't understand these things, and you cause hurts you don't intend. As I grew older, I tried to kill this overreactive part of me, and it resulted in a seeming lack of emotion. I stopped being one for massive expression, at least not around others. I saved my cries and rages and cheers for my bedroom. I became incredibly sensitive to criticism. Critiques meant I wasn't good enough, and not being good enough meant I was destined to be unloved. My skin thickened as I aged, or at least I learned how to perform a thicker skin. I laughed with people who hated the shows I wrote or directed in college. I pushed back against comments I didn't find warranted and debated people rather than shut down. Yet still, at my core, I am a fragile being. When you're an author, you'll come across the advice that reviews are for readers. This is especially true for those comments that come from non-critic readers. There's a good chance the Goodreads section of your own novel might help you improve as an author. There is probably a greater chance you'll be harming yourself and drinking poisons that wouldn't help you, even if you attempted to improve on the aspects being critiqued. This is really enticing advice for those thin-skinned bastards like me. On YouTube, though, especially as you're getting started, you can't really ignore the reviews. Here meaning video comments, though some YouTubers like ContraPoints get actual reviews from actual publications. Wild. After all, larger comment sections drive further engagement, supposedly. This isn't because people click on videos with more comments, but because the algorithm allegedly soaks up that action and sees it as further reason to suggest your work to others. More comments lead to more views lead to more subscribers. To monetize your channel, you need a certain amount of subscribers and a high enough watch time. The internet is also a hotbed for cruelty. Some people would criticize the ideas or technical aspects of my video, such were the comments on music volume. This was fine, and I appreciated the latter. I had no issue debating the comments over the former. Others, though, would go straight for the personal. People attacked my appearance. They attacked my masculinity, which I don't particularly care about, but it serves as an example to the point, which is why I'm bringing it up. I would receive homophobic remarks. Some people would insult my intelligence, especially in videos critiquing either conservatives or violence. People hate when you tell them, hey, maybe don't be cruel. Sometimes I would have fun with these people. You know, given that I am quite comfortable in my masculinity and I don't particularly give a shit about it, insults geared toward that were the most fun to play with. One guy accused me of being a trans woman because he thought my skin was too smooth and soft to be masculine. Now, I don't really agree with that assessment of my dermatology, but it tickled me to no end to fuck with him in the comments. I'm glad you think I'm so submissive and breedable that you have to imagine I'm a woman. A few comments, though, would simply hurt. I am not made for this sort of world. I've gotten better at deleting comments and blocking users from commenting again. I'm not so desperate for views as to keep and allow such nonsense, yet I am starved and hunting for views. 2 years into uploading essays, I sit beneath 1,000 subscribers. My most viewed video, an essay discussing the intersections of cruelty in the show RuPaul's Drag Race, has around 10,000 views last I looked. That is triple the amount of my next highest viewed videos. Most of my essays have between 100 and 1,500 views. Recently, around 100. The Occam's razor of it all is that I'm simply not good at this. My editing primarily consists of jump cuts to remove pauses and fumbles, and static overlays of my sources when they come up. I don't put much theatricality into the essay deliveries. Those close to me have long found my style of comedy to be confusing. I love jokes that are barely jokes. I don't wear costumes, and if I wear makeup, it's nothing elaborate. I refuse to talk like that with that performative aggression so many people use. Nor am I particularly attractive or charismatic, though, lest you think this is pure lack of self-esteem, I'm quite steadfast in my belief, at least more so lately, that I'm quite cute and smart. My style of video essay might be more accurately called a filmed essay. I reckon with this likely truth several times a year. I should quit, I think often. It would be best to delete all the essays and return the channel to a simple repository for my composing efforts. It takes time to write, film, and edit these videos. I tend toward longer run times, averaging around half an hour, and this merely prolongs the amount of time I spend per video. These hours could be better spent on my other writings, or perhaps it'd be best to simply kill myself. That's another thought I have several times a year, though, to be clear, I have no interest in following through on it. Sometimes my relative lack of success on YouTube serves as an excuse for these thoughts. I'm not so naive as to believe it causes them. This struggle began when I was 11. The abyss just keeps finding new reasons to call me with each new year. It'll latch onto anything. I should quit. I won't, I don't think, but I should. Following the minuscule views on the videos in the weeks preceding Drag Race and Cruelty, I decided to discuss the show once more. The idea of driving myself into a niche revolted me, but the idea of success seduced me. Revulsion and attraction often dance in tandem. When I was writing the original video, I felt like discussing the cruelty fans throw at queens who exhibit or express masculine qualities. I didn't, though, so the next topic happened to land in my lap as a continuation of that video: drag race and masculinity. Thus came a conversation about the performativity of both drag and gender. Though it was less hostile and passionate than the cruelty video, I felt this one was better written and better filmed. It had more interesting ideas, and it received 500 views. The route to success I thought had been paved in front of me crumbled. It hurt, which is ridiculous. It's absurd to let these things be painful, and yet they are. No amount of telling myself it shouldn't can make the ache go away. I put out work I'm quite proud of, work I feel improves on my past efforts, and it receives dwindling returns. If you go on subreddits dedicated to small and or young channels, you will find many assertions that for the majority of people this is a long game. It's the same in any art form, really. Most authors are several books deep before their writing starts earning anything resembling a living. Most poets never reach that. You are building a portfolio and a backlog. When a new person aligned with your aesthetic discovers you, they browse through the rest of your work. You have to keep chugging. You have to be the little train who could chugga 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 chugga. The ones who achieve instant success are rare. They hit on a combination of luck and skill at the right time. This is true of all art. A-listers in Hollywood are not the objectively best actors on the planet, in part because such objectivity does not exist when it comes to creative expression. There are many thousands of skilled, hard-working actors in the United States who never make even a modest living from acting. The same is true for authors, singers, photographers, dancers, and every other type of artist there is. Of course, the same is true for YouTube. Sticking with it, putting in the work, increases the odds that one day you might be the person selected by the lottery. This is true, and yet truth is a cold comfort to the heart. A video essayist acquaintance of mine, whom we'll call Teddy Assassin for this essay, so I'm not naming him, recently expressed as of time of writing a similar frustration. Teddy began his channel quite recently. He has very few videos. He has tens of thousands of views and over 4 times the number of subscribers that I do. For him, this is a frustrating lack of success. He compares himself to others. In turn, I compare myself to him. He is objectively more successful on YouTube than I am, and yet he suffers the same frustrations I feel. He feels the same calls to quit and move on. Does this help or hurt me? It's hard to say. Being older than Teddy, I attempted to comfort him a bit. I told him things I tried to tell myself over these past 2 years. Comparison is the thief of joy, they say. It can only hurt. We have to stop hurting ourselves. But pain is so enticing. One thing I've learned as someone who isn't particularly gifted at using social media is that posting my videos on other sites does approximately nothing for the view count. It's a pointless action. That's likely less true for those who are good at social media, for the ones with many followers who are interested in their views already. I'm not sure why I continue posting links to my YouTube videos. In part, this confuzzlement comes from the fact that I am still embarrassed to be making them. Someone I know from the theater world once messaged me a screenshot of their YouTube algorithm suggesting one of my videos, and anxiety immediately washed over me. Shame painted my cheeks pink. I'm proud of my writing, and yet I am also deeply ashamed of it. I believe in my plays and films, my musicals and acting performances, and yet the idea of my loved ones seeing them, of friends seeing them, of colleagues seeing them, judging them, hurts. A friend once teased me after a run of a musical I wrote, telling me no one liked it. I laughed a bit with him. Then back in my apartment I cried. It should be easy to take the teasing of a friend. Yet my skin reverts to paper. Perhaps my first essay was about Catholicism not merely because of the amount of conflict the Catholic Church brought to my doorstep in college, but because cradle Catholics and I share a core pillar of the soul: overwhelming, persistent shame. They have a God and saints and priests to confess to. Me, I've got my writing. For a time I had alcohol, and I have my own whispering thoughts that leak into the night. A few of my New Year's resolutions for 2025 revolved around YouTube. First, I wanted to make sure I had consistent uploads. On those weeks I don't have an essay ready to go, I try instead to upload a short, unscripted video on some random topic. I also decided to start 2 new channels, one for housing my compositions and musical performance and other artistic endeavors, and one for readings of my written works and public domain writings. Poetry, essays like this, religious texts, and more. The views on those channels are quite abysmal at the moment, but that doesn't really bother me. My primary goals with both of those have nothing to do with success or monetization. The music channel is to separate my music from my essays. The reading channel is to force me to read more non-contemporary works. Consistent uploads haven't been all that helpful. There's been no boost from the algorithm for doing such a thing, despite what the advice on Reddit claims. Perhaps the primary upside for this release schedule is that the videos tend to take up enough space on my phone that I had to delete Genshin Impact to keep up. It eliminated a constant distraction from my life that, to be honest, kinda got less fun over time. That's not nothing. It's close to nothing, but it's not nothing. I've considered at various times that since my primary expression in these videos is the essay part, I should cut out YouTube completely. I could simply publish these essays, whether through self-publishing sites like Amazon and Draft to Digital, or on a subscription-based writing platform like Substack. This would take less time, theoretically at least, and if the primary problem with my videos is the me of it all, then this would eliminate most of the problem. People always comment about hating the various voices I do, after all. I do them when I quote people or I'm making fun of arguments. I could stop doing the voices, but they're fun, I like them, so I won't. If I only published the written versions, no one could hate on such a thing because it wouldn't exist. Since any comments would technically be reviews, I'd have an easier time ignoring them. Video comments are often for the video maker. Reviews, however, are for readers. They wouldn't be for me, no matter how much the reviewer might wish their comments to reach me. Perhaps that would be healthier for me in general. Alas, I am stubborn. One of the reasons I haven't quit is that I've built a permission structure to engage in whatever expression I feel like. Cross-promotion. In the descriptions of my YouTube videos, I direct people to my Amazon pages. I tell them to go listen to my musicals. In the in-video stingers, where I'm meant to tell everyone watching to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell, I also urge them to go check out my other endeavors. In this way, I've convinced myself that even if my YouTube doesn't work out, it does function as a funnel into my other works. A small amount of success might lead to another small amount of success somewhere else. YouTube essays lead to YouTube readings that lead to purchases of my poetry collection, perhaps. Saxophone performances lead to my musical demos, and those might help get people to produce my shows. All of these might send people to Fourth Wall to purchase my art and photography. My author bio mentions my other artistic endeavors. Every moment of publishing includes the magical flourish of an infomercial salesman. If you liked this, you'll love this. Everything becomes one big packaged hustle, so I don't quit. But looking at my analytics, I should quit. I should put my energies elsewhere. I should delete YouTube and move on with my life. I should become a professor. This writhing mass of salesman tentacles isn't sexy. It's a bit creepy, isn't it? It's cynical. They say you should only engage in an art form if you're willing to devote your entire being to it. You can't give yourself to any other medium, at least not for a long time. If you can do anything other than act, do that. If you can do anything other than write, do that. On and on. I'm a greedy bastard, though, a bottomless bottom. So my confessions are as follows. 1. I don't believe I will ever be truly successful on any social media platform, including YouTube. 2. The improvements I make in the technical aspects of my videos have made no difference. Sometimes people like blurry shit I've recorded with annoying audio more than they like competently filmed and recorded essays. This, frustrates me. 3. I despise YouTube. I despise the censorship it pushes through its monetization program, and I despise that on occasion I give in to its pressures. I use euphemisms, I bleep out words. I had an essay focused on the usage of the word. I'm a gay man who was discussing it in academic terms, and yet I censored its every usage. That's ridiculous. I should not have done that. They don't much want you talking about sex or suicide or rape. If you believe the sleuths and their collected word lists, including any words related to LGBT plus identity in your titles, will automatically hamper your videos in the algorithm. I despise that and what it's done to conversations and videos. 4. I am jealous of people who are more successful. It's an ugly emotion. Teddy's success got on my nerves. That's dumb and shameful. Maybe I indulge in comparison because my inner Catholic loves the feeling of being ashamed. Feels right. This bleeds into the rest of my life. I see happy couples and I get upset to be unmarried. I see people younger than me finding intense success and it fills me with shame. A man who sexually assaulted me in college and whose writing I don't like has found more success as a theatrical writer than I have, and that pisses me off. There is a part of me that is intensely ugly. It's a very human part. I need to stop looking at my analytics. It's making me a worse person. 5. I should quit, but I won't. As a sinner whose writing is currently in the hands of some strange, ape-like god, I must say one final thing. Like, comment, subscribe. Amen.